again, my friends, this is Black Halfdan 8 here. Today I'm going to discuss what you should be doing with the first of your transporter patterns that you get in this game. First of many that you get. Somebody in the Discord or in one of the YouTube comments, I forget where it was exactly, asked me what I would recommend for the spend on your transporter patterns as soon as you get them. So we're going to dive into that in this video below. This will be kind of my tier list or my priorities that I would have for you as a late 20s and mid 30s operations, basically operations 35 and below players. These are the things I would recommend you spend your transporter patterns on. The absolute first thing that you want to do, I don't know anybody who wouldn't recommend to do this, is make sure that you get Christopher Pike. You want to get him to rank 1 and then stop there. You don't really want to waste any more transporter patterns after you get him there. So that is still my pick. That is pretty much everybody's pick. If you asked anybody what you should spend your transporter patterns on, they're going to go, do you have Pike? If you don't have Pike, get Pike. So almost everybody that you'll ever speak to will tell you to go for Pike first. That's great. Now, from the second priority and beyond, you will get vastly different opinions from people, so let me share with you mine. Who I think the second priority is, if you're looking at everybody that's available right now, this is March of 2022, for transporter patterns, right here, my girl Gigi, Giorgio, that is who the heck I went for second. I built the Augur. She's a great PvP officer for that. She's great even in PvE if you don't have a very high tier Nero. The 50% chance to deal burning for 2 rounds at the start of each round is pretty great. Statistically, that should mean that it's up every round. It won't be, but it will be up almost all of them. And she's a great captain paired with Ash Tyler and DJ Aoki for PvP on the Augur, or really any ship, but battleships in general. The Augur being my favorite one right now. That's why I picked her up. She is just like Pike in a lot of ways, where you just really need to get her to rank 1 first. She can shine pretty well there, and then, of course, as you are able to get more shards for her down the road, it doesn't hurt to rank her up. But I stopped at rank 1 and moved on from there. After Pike, after Giorgio, the next officer I would go after, it depends greatly. However, most people are going to either have 5 or be getting her shortly, so 6 of 11 is who I went for. Afterwards, really you're going to want to take him all the way to rank 3 as early as possible, but rank 1 is not bad to have around. It is a great armada crew to have 6 and 5. Pretty much a lot of the crews that you get, because you're going to get more out of your loot because of 5, better mitigation because of her, and you're going to do more damage to the targets because of the penetration values that you get from 6. So he was who I would pick up next. I would get him to at least rank 1. Rank 3 is the goal, but I would get him to rank 3 down the road when you're able to, because remember, you're going to need your active nanoprobes here as well as independent credits when you go to try to rank him up. You'll see here I only have mine at rank 1. I will be pushing for him to get to rank 3 here shortly. However, I went from rank 1 on him to my Trinity officer of choice, Trinity being the combat triangle. I went for Alexander Marcus. Now, Marcus is who I'm going to be dumping a lot of these into until I get him to rank 3. Reason being, I built an Augur. It is going to be my main ship for a while. I do plan on building a D4 and an Enterprise here soon. I'm over halfway towards each of those. That being the case or not, there are an awful lot of Enterprises on my server and probably on your server too. Alexander Marcus is, if you look at his abilities here, he is the anti-explorer. He is who you're going to want to build so that you can take down those Enterprises a little easier. He pairs extremely well with Yuki and with Harrison as well, so if you're able to pick up Harrison when he rolls around, there's still not a free-to-play way to get him, to my utter dismay. However, he's just a great officer for that. There's not a lot of people who synergize well with Yuki. I think right now there's still only Zhou, Marcus, and Harrison that will synergize with her. She is fantastic at stripping a shield away for all sorts of things, but especially for PvP. So Marcus was the no-brainer for me. My goal is to push him all the way up to rank 3. And then I'll, of course, go ahead and work on Charbonnet and Kane to get them up to rank 3 as well. Rank 3 is a pretty decent place to put them. They are fairly efficient there without costing too much. It's going to take a lot to get them from rank 3 to 4 and then to 5. We're going to do that at some point. However, we're talking about operations level 35 and below. Getting them to rank 3 will help you tremendously when it comes to your PvP in your territories or whatever else is going on. If you're just not interested in those Trinity officers, if PvP is not for you for one reason or another, then you probably also won't take my next recommendation, which is TOS Spock. TOS Spock is great for people who are like me, where you like to leave your shield down when you are around during the day doing things, and in doing so you may or may not keep a couple ships in your base. So if somebody knocks, you have a fairly formidable defense in there, so you don't have to burn through shields as often. You can kind of stockpile them when you know you're going to be on for a little bit. You don't have to waste them. Also, if you're like me, you don't know if you're going to go OPC hunting or hit people PvP, it kind of behooves you to not play behind a shield all the time, TOS Spock is great to toss as a captain and leave on a fairly tanky ship in your base, because he's going to increase the shield HP of the ships, not just the ship he's on, but every ship in the fleet whenever he's defending. So if he is parked in your base on a ship and you have a couple other ships in there, usually I'll leave 1 or 2 in there, but every other ship in there will also get this benefit to him. He's a very important officer for that role, and of course you want to try to make sure that he is paired with another officer that will get him some sort of morale so that you can use the prosper effect as well. Just a weird shout out, not a lot of people go for TOS Spock, but he does have a very niche use like that. So for me and a lot of my friends in the game, we do have a valid use for him. It's not a bad idea to go pick him up when you can. Outside of that, I would go ahead and rush those Trinity officers to 5 when you get a chance, because a lot of these other officers in here that you see, I would not waste my time with. Your Nero, Gorkon, James, T. Kirk, and Khan even, I wouldn't waste any time on. They're fairly easy to source outside of this. Don't burn your transporter patterns on those. Crass, Geary, Mitchell, Marcus, Carol Marcus that is, they're okay officers. There's not really any bad officers in here, but a lot of them are just not used in a lot of crews that we have right now in our meta, so I wouldn't really waste a lot of transporter patterns on them either. Same being the case for these new Mud, Eurydice, and Harry Mud that you find in here. They're not bad officers, they're great stats, they have really cool traits that you can use for your away team missions. They're just not used in a lot of builds. A lot of the meta crews that you have, they're just not seen very often, so I wouldn't focus on those. That's how I would recommend that you use these when you start getting transporter patterns. This is the path that I followed, the path that I think is a very safe bet to follow to get the most out of these when you start to stockpile them. And this is just my opinion. You like it, don't like it, that's okay. I do want to hear what you have to say about it, so leave your comments down below. Please tell me if you think I am completely crazy and this is the absolute wrong way to go ahead and use your transporter patterns, or if perhaps I made you think a little bit differently about the way that you should be spending these when you get them. Whatever the case may be, please toss that comment down below. I'd love to take a look at it. I'm sure the community would like to hear your opinion as well. That being said, there's pretty much all there is to it. There's not any other officers in here for me to go over. This is all that's available for transporter patterns right now, March 2022. Thank you guys very much for watching. As always, live long and prosper, and we will catch you next time.